Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Chaplain's Corner today. My name's Chaplain Neville. I'm with the 425, assigned with the 3 of the 509th. Geronimo to everyone. Well, today we're going to learn about a couple of things. First, by way of introduction, I was a marriage and family therapist while I did my congregational duties back home before I came on active duty. I've been on active duty about 6 months up here in J Bear, Alaska, and my wife and I and our 4 boys, we are loving it. It's a great place. So many exciting things to do. And with those exciting things to do, come some stresses, some things where we have to negotiate and talk about it. Like all couples, we have our moments where we get out of sync, and that's totally fine. The key is always to get back in sync. So today I'm going to give you two key stories from my own life that'll hopefully help you get back in sync with your partner whenever you get out of sync. So while I was at a conference, maintaining my license back home, they were telling me that the most powerful thing you can do is find an example from your own life and then be able to illustrate that to others. So I've got 2 for you. First, the very first one is the reset button, because I love playing video games. The second one is the power of teamwork, and that's where you recognize the unique strengths and talents that your spouse has. So for the very first one, the reset button. Like anybody that's good at video games, you play it, and then you fail, and you have to start all over again. And then you play it, and you play it, and you play it, and you get a little bit farther, and then you fail again, and you have to start over. But the key is that every time you go, you get a little bit farther than you did before. And as you get farther and farther and farther, you know how to accomplish and defeat the game. Well, when you get really far into the game, you also know when you've taken a misstep. And you're not going to have quite enough hit points to defeat the enemy at the end, the bad guy, the end guy. So you just hit the reset button and start over. This is key for us in couples and in relationships specifically. The first impression is always the best impression. And that goes for every minute of every second of every day with each person that you come in contact with. It's not just for strangers when they meet or the first day of school. The first 4 minutes of every interaction is the most important. Imagine if you took your child to a birthday party, and at the birthday party, they knocked on the door, they walked in, they put a present down, they went in the backyard, but nobody greeted them. All the kids were out back playing, and they were just laughing and smiling, but nobody said a thing to your child. The birthday party probably wouldn't go very well. Now if you replay the first 4 minutes, and the friend meets him at a door and says, "Oh, great, Billy's here, let's go." And then they grab Billy's hand and they take him, "Put the present down. Here, come to the backyard. We're out playing over here. Hurry up." That enthusiasm, that excitement, them letting you know that you're on the same team, that will help unify a person. So as a couples, I recognized one day, I came home from work, didn't have a really good one, came home and immediately started barking at my wife. You know, maybe I chastised my child, I yelled at him or something, and I recognized I was out of balance. And my wife looked at me, and I looked at her and I said, "You know what? I'd like to hit the reset button." Now my wife doesn't play video games. She said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I want to hit the reset button. Just give me a minute." So I walked back out of the house, I closed the door, I got back in my car, I got out of my car, I walked back in the house, and I put a smile on my face, and I greeted my wife. Gave her a kiss on the cheek, and I saw my sons. I said, "Oh, boys, how was your day?" And I talked to them. The rest of the night went significantly better. I'm really glad I hit the reset button. So again, getting out of sync happens all the time, especially for couples. You come from 2 different perspectives, you were raised 2 different ways by 2 different sets of parents, and that means 2 intelligent people aren't going to see things the same way every time. And if you don't see things the same way, perfect. But you got to understand where the person's coming from. And so that's where you have to take the second one, the power of teamwork. Now, when you take time to listen to a person, really listen to them, you learn things. Stephen R. Covey in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People used an actual talking stick, a stick that he would pass back and forth. And if you have the stick, you can talk. If you do not have the stick, you have to listen. That way you can validate and really hear and understand what your spouse is saying. When you get to that point, you recognize you're on the same team. And that's where the second story comes in from my life. I was really proud of myself one day. We went to Disneyland, we had a great time, we came back home, and my oldest son started having nightmares. So there he is at 5 years old, came up the stairs in the middle of the night, "Mommy, Daddy, there's a monster." All right, well. And that's when I had a stroke of genius. I said, "Hey, go get your Buzz Lightyear blaster. So he ran downstairs and he got his Astro Blaster, and it was this little blue gun that made this noise, really loud. Great, flashing lights too. And I said, son, you just go right back downstairs. If that monster comes back in your room, you just shoot it with your Buzz Lightyear blaster, and then go back to bed. Okay, Dad, I can do that. So he went downstairs, and 3 or 4 nights went by, no problem. In fact, a couple of times, my wife and I heard the gun at night. He was shooting the bad guys, and he was winning. Then one night, he came back upstairs. Dad, I tried to shoot the bad guys, but it didn't kill them. What do I do? Well, it's early in the morning, so of course, Dad's not thinking very well. It's a miracle I even got up to begin with. But my wife was thinking clearly. She said, come over here, son. And son came to the other side of the bed. And she said, fold your arms, let's say a prayer. Well, I learned a lesson that day too. One, my wife's remarkable. Greatest woman alive, no doubt about it. No offense to any of y'all, but mine's the best wife on the planet. But I learned that night that there are some ways that you can use logic and reason, and sometimes you got to use spirituality to solve problems. So my son learned how to pray a little bit more that night. He went back downstairs. We never saw him again. That's one of the reasons why I love my wife. Now, we wouldn't have had that experience if I would have been different that night in bed, if I would have insisted on using the Buzz Lightyear blaster or told him to go back down to his room. You see, I had to trust my spouse, and her strength combined with my strength blessed the life of our son. So especially when times are tough, or when you're spending too much time with each other and you feel like you just can't get away, like if even the sound of your partner blinking is driving you crazy, that's the special time that you need to connect with them. You need to listen to them. You need to hear them out. If you can spend 5 good minutes with them, I know your day will go better. I know that if you remember that you're on the same team and that there's a reset button at any time, you can start over and do it right. You can make the first 4 minutes of interaction powerful. You can make them meaningful. You can make it in the life of a child, in the life of a spouse. You can even do it with your coworkers if you want to improve those relationships. Bring some enthusiasm, bring some cooperation, find a way to be genuine and complimentary. But if you improve those first 4 minutes, you can improve just about anything at any time when it comes to relationships. It's very powerful. So that's me, Chaplain Neville, again with the 509th. Geronimo to everyone. Wishing you good luck and Godspeed. So pitter patter, let's get at her.